it's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story Podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, it's Ivy Slater, and welcome back to another episode of Her Success Story. Today we have a fabulous interview with a businesswoman who is slowly but surely, as we've been getting to know each other, truly becoming a friend and colleague in our journey in making a difference out there. And I'm thrilled to have her. Barb Smith is part of KeyBank and runs a program called Key for Women. One of the really interesting things about Barb is she didn't start out going into finance or banking or anything like that. The career truly came upon her by accident. She has a degree in education. She was looking for a teaching position and in the interim accepted a job as a bank teller. Jumping forward many years later, Barbara embraces education. Barb embraces education and continues to teach just differently. And I think this is a great place we're going to play today. She's the director of the Key for Women program at KeyBank, whose focus is on helping women reach their financial goals. Key for Women is a women's-focused initiative that provides tools and support to female entrepreneurs and women leaders. So welcome, Barb Smith, who I have to say, I'm not even going to cover all the things you're involved with in volunteering. I'm going to ask you to, all the boards you're on. You're a wife, a mom. How you do this all is going to be a great, great journey that I'm looking to hear the details on.
Well, thanks, Ivy. I'm so happy to be here. And I would agree with you. It's been wonderful getting to know you and really developing a great partnership and friendship along the way. So happy to have this conversation with you today.
Thanks for sharing the insight to our community. So you are Senior Vice President, and a director at Key for Women. How long have you been there that you were graduated college? We all graduate with these aspirations and these things we were going to do in our life. Share a little bit of the journey of when you say you got started and all of a sudden you're an accidental banker.
Yeah, so what happened with me, I started my career in college, or my journey to my career in college, as a journalism major at Kent State University, one of the best journalism schools in the country. And in I believe it was my junior year, end of sophomore year, junior year, I took as one of my options a teaching course, and I fell in love with teaching. So I ended up pursuing that, and what that does to you, anyone who's changed a major, it puts you on another rail and a longer term to graduate. So I was lucky enough to just have to extend it one semester, but that meant that I graduated in December versus a May graduate. And as you know, in December, that's not when all the teaching jobs are open. So I had to find something immediately to earn some dollars. At that point in my life, I'm the youngest of 5 in my family. I'm the only one to actually go to and graduate from a 4-year college. So
that's fabulous. Congratulations.
Thank you. But it also meant that because I was the last of 5, my parents were already in a different phase of their life and were retired. So they were retired in Florida and didn't need a college student to continue to support. So it was go out and get a job, and you get a job quick. So I ended up finding a job as a teller. And honestly, it was, what can put bread on my table for the next few months until I go ahead and really in earnest get that teaching degree. Well, what happened was probably about 3 months in, I was tapped on the shoulder and recognized for potential within the bank that I worked for at that time, and was asked to join the management trainee program. So it was one of those forks in the road. What do you do? Do you do this? And there was a commitment associated with that. All that they were investing in me, they were asking for me to commit to at least 24 months post, to stay with that institution. And my desire and thirst for learning, and frankly, the interesting thing that a bank does offer, which who knew banking could be so much fun, but there's so many portions of banking, not just strictly finance and accounting, but there is training, there is marketing, the communications, sales itself. So all of it.
So you don't have to remain a teller, and you don't have to do, there's many, and I think that's a great point, because there's many times we look at different careers and opportunities and we see it almost as a straight line versus so many options in that map.
Absolutely. So when I look back on my career, I often joke about this. You visualize the career ladder, just going up rung by rung, right? You just one job after. My career is more like a jungle gym.
I like that example.
So I've taken opportunities, moved to the side, up, down, over, around, and then what that has given me is more opportunity. Every time I do that, another opportunity opens up. One that I might not have been planning for, but certainly once exposed, found interest in wanting to pursue. So that's actually what got me here today is that ability to raise your hand, to take that risk, and then use every single opportunity as an opportunity to learn. So back to the whole foundation of wanting to be a teacher, it's also the passion to learn and to train others as well. So that passion and that skill set I've been able to use every single day, whether I'm talking with a client and teaching financial skills, whether I'm leading Key for Women and helping women become successful on their journey to financial success. Every single day I've been able to use the tools that were given to me and just apply them in a different way.
So in this, and you've been in banking for many years. You have a family, I know. Mm-hmm. Husband, kids are grown, almost grown. Kind of give us a point of reference here.
Yeah, so fabulous husband and fabulous children. I have 2 boys who are both grown. One is a police officer, and the other is a special education teacher. Both have fabulous careers, and I couldn't be more proud of them. I am not a grandma yet. I have a grand dog, but that's okay. I've got my grand dog I can spoil, but wonderful, wonderful supportive family. Frankly, that support the risks that I've taken, the opportunities that I've taken along the way in my career, both at the bank and then the work that I've done within the community. I, at one point, raised my hand while working full time, ran for the local council position, won that, became vice mayor of the city,
wow.
All while working full time, being a wife and mom. But you can't do that without a fabulous support system. It's just impossible.
So share with me a little bit of because support systems is, to me, integral to being able to do what we do. And I think everybody kind of gets it, but what were some of the things in your support system that really made the difference? So, I will say for myself, being a working mother and being in sales and running a business and being professional every day, I was like, people didn't realize I look at my dry cleaner as one of my greatest supports. And they're like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, because when I have to quickly go on a business trip, I need clothes that need to be ready to go. So
Exactly.
when you look at your support system and being able to do everything you've done, what are some of the keys that you've pulled together there?
So, you know what I think the most critical piece of it is recognizing that you need a support system and recognizing that you can't do it all. There was a point in my life where I tried to be super everything. So super mom, you know, I was not only super trying to be super mom at home, but it was also super mom at school and doing the baking for the birthday parties and, you know, all the celebrations that happen. But then realizing that honestly, at the end of the day, what made more sense, you know, to grab some cupcakes and order something and spend that time with my children versus, you know, trying to shove things into time slots. So it's exactly what you said, Ivy. It's looking around and where are the areas that you can move off your plate, that there are services and frankly, more services today than there were back when my children were little. But it's also giving up. It's also saying that's okay, you know, somebody else can do this better than I can and quicker, and I'm going to take advantage of it. That also goes with, you know, at home, whether it's, you know, leaning on your significant other to do some things that, you know, maybe I'd want to do and think I could do better, whether it's, I don't even just putting dishes in the dishwasher, you're like, it's okay. You do not have to rearrange a dishwasher. You know, all of those things.
Why do we think we need to do those things?
I don't know, but it's giving up control. Right, you need to give up that little bit of that control so you can focus your energy elsewhere. So, but I will tell you that part of learning that was learning a little bit the hard way. So I continued to put myself last, and at the end of the day, we all know where that ends up, where your health and well-being suffers. You know, I just, at the end of the day, I was so drained because I was giving 24/7. Anybody who asked it, yeah, I was there. So it's also the ability to say no. So,
Ooh, this is a big one, and I want to highlight this for everyone. And it's the ability. It's not that you have to. It's the choice you make here in saying no.
Correct. So
in that big decision, in turning that corner of saying, okay, you know, putting myself last is detrimental for me to take care of everybody I love and everything I love. Putting myself first gives me that ability. And when you start, so share with me some of the things that were your turning point there in starting to say no.
So, well, let's put it this way. I like to have my plate full. Okay, I enjoy having a full plate. And what I mean by that is, you know, if you ask me, absolutely, I want to help. But I've also learned that spreading yourself too thin, just it ends up, you're not good for anybody, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really about here's my 3 to 5 things that are the most important to me, and that's where I'm going to put my energy into. And when I do have extra time and I can step into something, you know, being really thoughtful about does that something also aligned with that 3 to 5 priority, right? So am I staying true to myself, true to my goals, true to what I want to do, and not just saying yes to everything? So there is a good deal of thought that goes into a yes or a no.
So what I love what you're saying here is identify the 3 to 5 things that are your priorities. And in the decisions you make along those going forward, always touch base is it in alignment with those 3 to 5 things?
Right. That's exactly it.
I love it. So in this journey of clarity, of being clear on your 3 to 5 things and making the decisions accordingly, I'd love to hear a little bit about what are some of the greatest successes what has meant the world to you? And then we'll also look at the other side of that coin afterwards of what has been those challenges to be the woman you are.
All righty. So what I would say that what has meant the world to me, or the things that I feel proudest of, is when I focused on something and went all in. And I'm gonna use that running for council as an example of that.
Great.
So I needed to run for council like I needed a hole in the head. Okay, at the time I was in my career, I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to be designing and actually performing a new role for the bank. So I was in a pilot role that I was designing that was eventually ended up launching across the country. But full plate at work. 2 young children at home, and who are just entering into their busy lives of sports. So we had a hockey player, which if anyone has a hockey player,
you're a hockey mom. That's a whole different level at 5 in the morning.
Right. So hockey mom, and then. The other son, luckily he was a little bit younger and he could just come along to the rinks, but was also doing some soccer and some other sporting opportunities for both of them. So busy lives with them. My husband also full-time job, so he's we're both got careers that we're working towards. I was on the Recreation Commission for our community and for a couple of years, and part of what the Recreation Commission had wanted to do was to build a community center. And I saw that I really believed in this. I believed in the vision and what it would bring to the community. And the person who was our council rep for the Recreation Commission just happened to be also the councilman for my ward. And basically, they were talking about it. Mine ended up being a couple years, but it was a 10-year conversation. And that's exactly, so I was fed up. I was like, this is it. Let's make this happen. Right? So it's either, I had that whole conversation with myself saying, okay, let's either put up or shut up. Like, go make this happen. So I did. I ran for council. Again, door to door. I ran, and not only did I have to go through a primary, which was very tense, and all those political things that you can imagine to deal with. And then on top of it, I ended up winning the election, but I won by 7 votes. Well, 6 votes. Or 5 votes if you count my husband and myself.
There you go.
So went through a whole recount, all of that. It just wasn't the best transition either. So the incumbent that was a 10-year incumbent and wasn't too happy with leaving his seat. So I also ended up inheriting a whole bunch of empty file drawers. So I had no history on this position, but I had to learn real quick. But let's fast forward, and we did build the community center. We built it within 3.5 years of my obtaining my council seat. We built it without tax dollars. It continues to run in the black. and had a very, very successful business plan. And then fast forward, I'm truly fast forwarding a couple of years. My career took me and my family to Indianapolis for a number of years. And then when we moved back, the real estate agent asked me if I wanted to meet at the community center in Solon, Ohio. That was where I lived. And I said, absolutely, let's do that. And I asked him if we could go inside. And when I walked in, it was kind of like Norm from Cheers. And he looked at me and I said, this is exactly the reason why I wanted this community center. I knew that this would, we have strong schools. It's a wonderful community, but I knew that this would be a draw and continue to be a draw to bring others into our community. So, it's about.
It talks about going full circle and following through.
It really is. It's about going all in, and being very, if back to, I'm not going to talk about this, I'm going to make this happen. And part of how to make it happen was, leading the way and leading the way through council and getting the support to actually get the community center in place. So
let me ask this.
Go ahead.
Okay, so in some of the greatest successes, and you ran for council and you were dedicated to this, what have you seen and what have you learned in this way when things don't go so well? We talked about, and we've talked about it as far as Key for Women, which I'd like to spend a few minutes getting into in a moment, is, when we're both women here, we have full careers, we're both moms of grown kids. When things don't go so well and you think it's failure, but then you have this inkling of what's going on, opportunity is knocking. How have you learned that? And what can you share with us about that?
Yeah, so I would say that throughout my career, and honestly, both personally and professionally, I've probably learned the most from failures, not so much successes. And what I mean by that is really being able to step back and moving away from the emotion of the failure.
I like how you say that, and that's vitally important. And I think it's vitally important to understand in business decisions as well, is when to put the emotion on the side and then see the clarity of what's in front of you. But thank you for moving away from the emotion of the failure.
Right. And then really going back and thinking about why, what was it? What was it that really caused the failure? And in the magnitude of failures, how bad is this failure to me, either personally or professionally, right? So, and what can I learn from it the next time I try something? So it's really about taking those failures and turning them around into, learning opportunities, and not being afraid to fail, and not being afraid to maybe even get the no from somebody, and learning that a no doesn't necessarily mean no to you. It means no to that idea or that thing, and really learning from kind of what's the reason behind the no? Like, did I not sell my idea or my thought well enough? What could I have done differently? Maybe it's a no, not now, but in the future, bring it back. But it's really taking those no's, those failures, those times where you really feel like, wow, how am I going to get up and do this again tomorrow? And learning on how to build on those and use those as your rungs to your ladder of success.
And so very often when I'm teaching, and again, the dancer here thought maybe I'd be a dance teacher one day, and now I end up doing a lot of that in business, is the concept of no being not yet, not ready, not now. And It's not no, it's no to whatever is on the table at this way, this moment. That doesn't mean no. And they're not saying no to you. It's how do you embrace and then build relationships that you understand that, oh, so this didn't work. Now what other in that map of the many roads and options in the jungle gym, where can we play next?
Right. I think I probably learned the most about no when I've been in direct sales positions. You know, the ability to open up and ask those additional questions around what's really behind the no, and understanding that sometimes the no is no, I just don't really understand what it is, so I'm going to say no because but being able to ask additional questions that really help you understand where the no is coming from. But you're right. Like there's a lot of doors that are going to be shut with a no, but there's also a lot of doors that are opened with a no by just being persistent and following through.
So in taking this role with Key for Women, okay, where you're making an impact on women business owners, women leaders, all about, around the area of financial success, financial wellness. What do you see that women do well, and what do you see that we can improve on?
So I think the things that women do well is the ability to just, not unlike myself, multitask and do lots of things. So I think women do that very well. What I think is a challenge for women is back to the putting yourself first, and really thinking about your financial success and your financial future. So when we think about retirement, we all have various dreams on what retirement looks like, and maybe it's travel, maybe it's the ability to not have to worry about your finances and to be able to volunteer and do other things. Maybe it's simply, I just want to be comfortable. But many of us get caught up in the here and now and not really thoughtful around what we're doing for our future selves. So it's important about the here and now, and certainly it's important about making those choices, but it's also back to, and I'm going to go from where we started, about getting the right help and resources around you to make your future self successful. So it might be choices that you make today. It might be just understanding how a different investment might work for you differently. But it's also about asking for the help, and it's about learning and really making those choices. So we find many women who go into business don't ask for the help financially. Many of them will start their business using their own personal finances. A lot of times tapping into their own 401ks. They've been successful, they've built up a nice 401k savings, and then they borrow from that to launch their business, which will get them off the ground. Sometimes it's a lot of family and friends, get them off the ground to get the business running. But when the business takes the next growth turn, they haven't built up that network and that support with investors and bankers and whomever else to take that next turn. So there's lots of different ways that we can help ourselves as women. And part of it starts, it could start today about just being more participative in the conversation around finances. So whether it's your own finances, or whether it's your family finances, whether it's your business finances, not being afraid of your numbers, not being afraid, just, as Ivy, as you shared or taught us, to really take charge of it and own it and it all becomes less scary.
And that it's so true. The second we actually know something, what we're afraid of often is we're afraid of the unknown. Simple as that. Back in the day, many years ago, when I went on Space Mountain for the first time in Disney World, it's a roller coaster, which I love roller coasters, but it's in the dark. So you don't see what's coming. And so you're terrified. In all honesty, it's probably not the scariest of roller coasters, but because it's dark, you're scared. So as soon as you bring the light in, you have the ability to say, oh, now I know, now I have all this information, and you go back to the power of choice and decision.
Correct.
Well, I love that. And Barb, I know how busy you are. Everybody check out Barb Smith more, and as much as you're going to fall in love with Barb, check out KeyBank and Key for Women, because it's programming all around what Barb and I are in line with, and what brought us together as colleagues is the importance of women in community, women in running your businesses, leading your lives, and being the CEO of your own world from a financial standpoint. So Barb, any last parting goodbyes or tips as we sign off?
Well, thank you. Well, I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you for the little ad at the end here. I will say that if Key for Women is open to everyone. You do not have to be a client of Key. It's open to prospects and clients as well. And it's so easy to join. It's just key.com/women, get you right to the registration page. And I would love it if all your listeners would take a minute or two to sign up. So thanks again, Ivy. It's been a great time talking with you today.
Thank you, Barb. And you can find out more about her success story and the wonderful women we interview. Please check us out and subscribe. You like what Barb had to say? Leave a comment. Let us know what you want to know next.